everybody. This is the Scene World podcast. I'm AJ. He is Jörg. We are the Scene World podcast.
Exactly, yes. So throughout the last 6 years, we had a couple of special interviews about the retro scene and origin in Peru, about the gaming scene in Hungary, about the situation in Brazil regarding video games. And this episode, we have
even Russia.
Yeah, Russia, right. About the demo scene of Russia, not the video game situation, particular, but also the demo scene and the what happened in Russia after 9/4. And in this episode, we are talking to Petro Planas in a bit about the situation of the retro community and retro games and the gaming industry in Venezuela. And probably most of you don't know the situation in Venezuela, and so perhaps we should give you some insight so you are prepared. There is a playlist from the Indigo Traveler where he actually went to Venezuela last year before COVID-19, and this gives you a good glimpse of the situation in Venezuela. Basically, this is an audio-only podcast, but what you could see if you had video was that it was pretty tough stuff. I was busy myself thinking about this interview a couple of days after, and even AJ didn't make funny comments throughout the interview, except one where he asked, like, you still use the yellow pages in Germany? Which is actually interesting because here in Germany, you can still get the yellow pages printed as a book from the postal service. But honestly, the youngsters like myself and younger don't take it from the postal service anymore.
I think you can get it here too. I think they occasionally drop one off at your house, but usually it just sits in the driveway and gets rained on.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, there are the smaller ones that they put in your letterbox for the region, and then there is a bigger one for the whole city. And this one you have to pick up. There's just a postcard saying pick it up from the postal service. Because the before 93, the postal service and the telecommunication service used to be state-run, governmental run, and be the same company.
Yeah.
So that is something that kept being for the time ever. So anyway, what I should also mention is that in the link section you find a lot of stuff from Petro, our guest, and he also asked me if we could put in some links for his packages, sound packages you could buy, because the situation in Venezuela is pretty difficult.
And he is a musician.
Just to prepare you, this interview is a bit different from what you are normally used to hear from this podcast.
Yeah, he is a musician, and he does, have stuff available to purchase and download and whatnot. Right. So, I mean, that's partly what this interview is. It kind of got into the we were talking to a retro style musician guy, and it turned into this is what Venezuela is right now, and yeah, it got a little heavy a couple of times.
Yeah.
But,
in the link section, you will also have links. Some are multilingual, also in English, and some are Spanish only. And there you should use Google Translate and read a bit about the stuff, because the situation in Venezuela is really difficult.
Yeah.
So perhaps make up your mind and read about it. Anyway, so up to the news section. I leave that to AJ, I wanted to say, because this time I don't have any news.
Okay, I just got two pieces of news here that I'm seeing. One is that Sarah Jane Avery has released Zetawing, which is it's an anticipated C64 game. It's kind of been teased for a while, and she's been working on it, and it is both PAL and NTSC compatible, and pretty cool looking. It's your up down shoot 'em up sort of dealy, Galaga, whatever, But
you know, the youngsters call it SMUP.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Yeah. No. Yeah. But yeah, it's well done. There's parallax scrolling. There's lots of cool effects. It's a well-made game, and it is available on itch.io for $3.99. So.
And I also want to welcome our 500 plus subscribers to the podcast that we reached thanks to our participation in the Gamescom online live stream.
Yes.
Within those 4 days, we got 500
5 o'clock in the morning to stumble downstairs to get on a stream.
Yeah, so it was worth it because we got a lot more listeners now. So another milestone is reached. Just wanted to say thank you for that.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, and another piece of news from Scene World.
Oh, look at this, mister. I didn't have any news.
Well, not external, but internal. So another piece of news is we are also now listed at the new Audible Amazon podcast directory.
Are we allowed to say that now?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, they released an update on Android and iOS for the Amazon Music app, and if you search for Scene World, you can find Scene World.
Well, it was confidential for a while, so I wasn't sure if we were allowed to talk about that yet. No.
I mean, they released it.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
They released an update for the Amazon Music app. So go to the Amazon Music app and look for Scene World, and there you can find the Scene World podcast. Yeah.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And indeed, AJ was right. We were one of those early entries in the directory because Amazon wrote to us and asked to keep it confidential. And they told us they want us to be part when they start the directory.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So that was very nice. Thank you, Amazon. It was a surprise to receive an email from Amazon asking me to help them with something. This is interesting because normally I only know Amazon from the customer side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the other piece of news that I've got here is more game stuff, which is that Megastyle Productions, which was it is a demo group, I guess, and also a gaming group. Chris Stanley and Rune Spawns, I guess is how you say that. They are currently porting the Atari 2600 version of Star Wars: The Empire Strikes Back to the Commodore 64.
Nice.
So I guess that was, they just announced it earlier in the week. So depending on when this releases, this is what, the 27th today that we're recording this. So I mean, it was just a couple of days ago that they announced it, and it looks, it's Megastyle. They are a very graphically good demo group, and so you can imagine that any of the graphics in here are going to be updated to take full advantage of what they can do on the C64. And the gameplay is going to be pretty much the same as the Atari version, just with much nicer images. So, so check that out. We'll put links to everything. That's not available yet. That's still in development. But we'll put links to where you can find out about all that stuff. And yeah.
Nice. Yeah, other piece of internal news is we released after the last podcast, historical interview of Randy Farmer.
Yeah.
We were mentioning that 3 podcasts ago that I'm working on editing it. I finished it. It's released. So I will put a link to that as well. So if you missed it, now you can also look at Randy Farmer's historical history.
Which I sat in on, and I was also there for it. So
nice. Yeah. The first historical YouTube video where AJ was a part of.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, nice.
There's also, I just saw this, and I don't I this is from last week, I suppose. This is another. It's a platformer by Antonio Savona and Aldo Chiamo and Gaetano Chiamo. These guys are freaking. We just talked about a game from them in the last podcast. Like these guys are freaking all over the place. And
but those aren't the guys who do the Zoic games.
The what games?
The shoot 'em up construction kit.
No. No, these are like this is like Planet Golf. These guys.
Oh, Planet Golf.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
nice.
Which was a very good game.
Which I didn't get. I missed out. Maybe I should get it.
I got it. It's actually it's awesome. There's an intro on that. It's on the second side of it where it is like with digi sounds and a full motion video. They show like the moon landings and stuff on the C64.
Wow.
It is super well done.
Then I should get it.
Yeah. But they have there's an upcoming game from them called Pig Quest.
It sounds like another sports game.
Pig Quest. It's a platformer.
I guess not a sports game.
You're a pig in a cape, and not much is known about what we're gonna get from it, aside from a short video showing some gameplay. But it again, the graphics. I mean, it's really well done. It looks interesting, and there's a great soundtrack and collectible items and stuff. So
nice.
These guys are just they're killing it in the games department lately. We should have them on, honestly. Antonio Savona, if you're listening to this podcast, drop us an email. It's podcast@sceneworld.org, and we will set you up because we need to
how good our reach is.
Yes, because we need to talk to you guys about this stuff. Or if any of you listening to this know them, and just maybe forward this on to them because we need to talk to these guys.
Okay. Well, then you lead the interview because
yes,
I got no idea.
Okay. So that's all I got for this. So we should probably head on over to Venezuela.
Caracas. Yeah.
Yes. And find out what's going on over there because it's a thing.
Yeah, it's hard to believe at some places, but it's all true stories. Today we are talking to a retro composer, I would say, and singer from Venezuela, Caracas. And that would be Petro Planas. Hello, welcome to the podcast, Petro.
Thank you very much to everybody listening. I say hello to everybody around Germany, the United States, around the world. Venezuela is a pretty place as for many things, and in the world of the gaming, it is pretty as well. But there are many things to say, so I will start with the good points, okay? Because I think it's important to keep reputation and stuff.
Oh, sure.
So Venezuela. I am a Venezuelan composer for video game music. Maybe you have heard of Seth Everman on the internet. I am a very similar musician in that sense. He has about 2 million views. I have just 200 subscribers, so don't see that's like a lot, but I am on my way. And as for the retro gaming scene in Venezuela, there are many people who love any Nintendo games, really, Commodore 64. There are so many people that really like and enjoy and would love going to Germany to play so many video games that I can tell you that they would cry if they know I have this interview with you.
Yes. Well, I mean, we are not a political podcast, but maybe for our listeners, I want to share a little story that I had when last year at Etsy, I ordered SimCity,
Okay.
the
Ah,
the well unofficial release of SimCity for the NES, and it
okay.
would only work on an original NTSC NES. So I was looking on eBay, I was looking around, and of
Right.
course most of those machines came from America. And I was like,
Yeah.
wow, that shipping is more expensive than the NES itself. And I said like,
Okay.
no, I'm not going to buy more for shipping than for the actual device. And the cheapest I found was an American NES
Right.
at a seller in Caracas,
Yeah.
Venezuela. So
Mhm.
no problem. He was fluent in English. Everything was fine. Condition was good as described.
Yeah.
No problem. But the problem was
Okay.
once he shipped this with FedEx Venezuela,
Mhm. Yeah.
I noticed that for a week it was saying inbound parcel in the parcel center,
All
outbound
right.
parcel. The next day it would be again scanned as inbound parcel, outbound parcel. I was like, well, that
Okay.
can't be that the same parcel is going inside the parcel center and outside at the end of the day and returning the next day. That doesn't make sense. And
Oh.
then I figured after the week that FedEx
Mhm.
Venezuela wrote a message on their homepage that the
Yeah.
government of Venezuela ordered that the business has to be shut down.
Really?
Yes,
Well.
and
Oh.
all phone numbers were cancelled, so
Okay.
they were not allowed to continue their parcel business shipment
Mm.
because of the government
Mhm.
ordered
Yeah.
so.
I
So
can.
So
Mhm.
what happened is actually that they managed to get email still working. So all
Right.
my emails were sent to Colombia,
Mhm.
and
Yeah. Yeah.
it took 5 weeks to get the parcel out of Venezuela over
Yeah.
Mexico
Mhm.
to Germany.
Okay.
And I found this crazy that a
It's very.
government would
Yeah, no,
do
no,
such
no.
things.
The government is, I know, I support your statement because the government here is with Nintendo words. It's like, I don't know, parallel words. It's hard to explain. Really, really hard to explain. But, well, you can summarize in few words like they are not really into Nintendo games, not really into Atari, not really into helping anybody with that. I mean, they they will not help anybody with those things almost. I mean, their family maybe, but nobody else. So it's very hard.
And I found this funny because FedEx is not a peanut company. I mean, FedEx
Mhm.
is a big
Yeah, yeah.
international company, you know?
Yeah, it's terrible. I understand. It's a very big issue that they actually made because I mean it's like saying to an older brother, hey, you are not worthy or something like that. And
Yeah. So, they really
no,
had to shut down all the business for a couple of weeks. And
something incredible.
I don't understand why they did that, but because always thought as a country you try to to keep the economy up, and whenever there's a business you go for it.
Mhm.
You don't try
Right.
to stop the business or shut down the business. So and the seller told me, yeah, this is normal. This happens all the time, and FedEx are the only ones, he said, still putting up with the government. DHL, UPS, and so they already gave up Venezuela.
Yeah.
So I was
Yeah.
like, oh, this is crazy. So,
Horrible.
just to give a perspective of how what it means to get something shipped out of Venezuela, it's
Yeah.
really a hard task.
hmm It's a hard task, yes, because the people here in the shipment, I think you say in English, the part of the shipping process, they are not very reliable that you can say. So maybe you ordered 10 games for the NES or Nintendo 64, whatever, and they will maybe just say, sorry, we are Venezuela government and we will take them because we are important. I don't know. So they take it and they don't do anything. You can't do anything. I mean, you can only feel sorry.
Really, it's
That's it.
just the government are just sitting back playing
It's
NES
terrible. It's
games.
terrible. It's
They just
like
really want to play the games.
exactly. It's like many government stories in around human history, but well, I I I I can say that many people around here in Venezuela do not like that. They hate that like terribly. And
Yeah.
it's logic. I mean, it's human nature. It's like, how can you do that to your neighbor? And we have to be supportive to each other, no matter the situation. We have to be always helping each other. I mean, it's human instinct, just like that.
Yes.
And then of course the seller was very sorry that my parcel was suddenly government business.
Yeah,
And I was like, wow, my God. I mean, I never had such a thing. Anyway, this
right.
was just a story I wanted to share.
Okay. So, well, any other question that you want to know? I have many things to say, really, but
Yeah, sure.
because time is brief, I will try to describe the most important things
Yeah,
in a short while.
maybe let's start with how it all started that you got into video games and computers in general. Maybe start at the
Okay.
beginning.
Wow, it's a very long story. As for me, as a Venezuelan gamer, I got with this when I was 4 years old. I remember I got my Super Mario Bros. for the NES. This was my first game. I got Mega Man 4. I got Bomberman, stuff like that for the NES. Everything for the NES. I am 29 years old, so I didn't experience the Atari world, but the Nintendo world, the NES world, more specifically. And I continued with Nintendo 64. No, I mean Super Nintendo, then Nintendo 64. Games like Zelda, The Legend of Zelda, Super Mario 64. For the Super NES, I got only like 6 games, but it was well, they were very good games. They were like Super Mario World. I played stuff like Dragon Ball. A game about Dragon Ball. I don't really remember Dragon Ball Budokai. I don't know what it. Something else like that, like in Japanese. And it was really good. I mean, I loved those games. It's like a blessing for me to have so many experiences that not everybody here lived. I mean, I feel different from many other Venezuelans because not all Venezuelans could live such era of video games in at least in that way. So I really feel I humble myself.
Yeah, I mean, personally, I never heard of any other Venezuelan being into the video game thing, and
How,
and
All right.
yeah,
that brings up a question. How is the Venezuelan um
Yep.
you mentioned things like NESs and whatnot being, confiscated and whatnot by the government currently, but how did things happen back then? Because we've
Right.
spoken to someone from Peru, and it was a very different scene than we are used to in Europe or the US. And
Yeah.
it's just what was the scene like back then, back in the time when these were like new machines, when the C64 was new on the market, or when the NES was a new machine that you could get. But what were things like then?
Well, things in, I mean, I know that people from Peru is like they are similar in many things to Venezuela, but they have a better economy. So, I mean, in terms of gaming, it's not gonna be equal to Venezuela. I mean, Venezuela does have, let's say, has had many, I would say, many stops, like many difficulties to leave the gaming world as in a normal regular country with a developed country, a developed economy. However, people here does love to be far-fetched and get the video games from FedEx or eBay, Amazon, other alternatives. People do like to get games like who knows Action 52 or anything like that. and there are many collectionists here. That's something that you have here, really. There are many people who do like collecting games. I do have a little collection of video games, but super small. I mean, it's not particularly relevant. I mean, it's nothing compared to the USA, for example. But people still do it. I mean, it will not stop because it's like stopping. I don't know. It's like stopping human instincts. It's not possible to. It's like saying first the war would end. I mean, it's not possible to stop it completely. At least
Right.
we can say that from Venezuela for Venezuela.
So I guess it's not in Venezuela like it is in Brazil, where there's still a market for new consoles. I mean,
Okay.
we spoke to Stefano Arnold from Tectoy, and they even made new Mega Drives for the Brazilian market.
Yeah. Well, can you repeat the question,
I
please?
mean, I mean, I guess Venezuela doesn't have its
Mhm.
own commercial retro market, or does it? You
Oh
know?
yeah. There is a Venezuelan retro market, but it's very much the internet. I mean, there are little conventions like OSECON. OSECON is one of the most popular anime and video game conventions here. You can like it's very similar to a developed country, to be fair, but people here are different because of their personalities. Okay, with games there are very well, I don't know. Like, my opinion is like we actually are very party like. Like we love going party. Have a good time with games. Love super powerful video games. Blah blah. And we love it. I mean, it's a Latino stereotype. So just mix that with video games, and you get Teosecon and conventions here in Venezuela that are for video game music, video game soundtracks, video game developers, lots of developers. There is a boom of developers because of the crisis in Venezuela that have developed games about the crisis in Venezuela, like people eating garbage in a game in a terrible way. I mean, it's like something is I would say it's devilish, but at least it's a fact. So, you know, there are many things that have happened in the gaming scene here, and they do have to do with the reality of Venezuela. Not for everybody, but for many people. Okay, not everybody is in such a. I know that in Europe there is a concept of Latino people that maybe is like too dark, but not for everyone. I mean, there are many people here that do have a comfortable enough situation, and they do have what you would call a regular gaming life. I would say that.
Well, personally, speaking for myself, and I think I can agree with AJ, I try to go without stereotype or prejudgment.
Yeah, yeah.
When I got your messages on Instagram, I thought like, wow, this is interesting. A retro lover making
Yeah, thank you.
retro compositions about video game music. We have to talk to this guy. Though this is how I see
Well,
it. I
sorry.
think I
Thank
think everybody has the right to have his own hobby and live as good as he can. But I understand
you.
if you are in the situation you are right now as a Venezuelan and you have to decide between having something to eat, as you
Okay.
said, eating garbage, and
Yes.
your retro hobby, that's of course making things very difficult.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very difficult. Like for some reason, Venezuelan gaming people is like Venezuelan people at the end of the day. So it's a bad thing and a good thing because they laugh about everything. I mean, it's like, well, people, there is starvation, ha ha ha. There is a good, I don't know, there is a bad situation for gaming. Well, let's play at least Mega Man 1, and that's it, and don't do anything else about to fix it. There is too much. I think in English you say. being comfortable with everything. Like they don't do anything. I mean, I mean, I do something with what I can with my music and my project, but I mean, I am one person, so I can do what one person can do.
How did
But
that actually start? How did you decide someday that you create a video, a YouTube channel, and make videos? I mean, um, when I spoke to Venezuelans in my life,
yeah,
I noticed that one of the major problems is actually many people couldn't do more than typing because their internet was too bad. So
yeah,
it would have taken days for them to even upload a video on YouTube.
yeah. The internet here is another a very dark story, but it's very good for cultural knowledge. You know, it's very important to know. I mean, you will be privileged to know this
Mm.
because the internet in Venezuela is normally known for being super slow, super crashy, freezy, and you need to try too many times, like exaggerately, in order to make it work. And in other countries, in a regular cyber coffee, you would get everything, like very easily. And in the best places here, you get less than that. So it's really, really. I am lucky, I think, because like, my internet answers quite properly. Thanks God. My situation is good, contrast with other people here. But well, I would not say it's perfect either because at times it crashes. So
Mm.
you know, it's
Yeah.
normal, quite
Yeah,
normal.
I mean, at those times like Corona right now, it even happened for me in Germany that internet didn't work properly in some cases. So that can happen still over here too. So anyway, the question was, what was the point where you said, okay, I'm going to do retro music and I'm putting it up on YouTube and trying to
Okay.
make a thing there. What was the turning point that you said, okay, I'm going forward with it? I meant YouTube,
Uh,
and putting up your remix
okay.
videos and remix music
Mhm.
playings. I mean that.
Yeah.
I mean nowadays in 2019, I think you started. Starting a YouTube channel and putting content up is quite difficult. I mean, there are
Yeah.
so
Why?
many people doing the same thing.
Hmm.
So
I yeah.
how did that start for you?
Hmm. Well, for me, it started all in 1 year ago. I mean, I started to be more serious with that. I mm, I would like to offer a lot of content to people because it's like nature. You know, you want to offer something to everybody, and you want to make people happy with what you do. So in that sense, I said to myself, well, this is the year for me because I have time at least. I have in that moment my economy was very very hard, but I said, I want to do it, and I still did it somehow. I really, I am very trust. I mean, a believer of God helping me because I mean it's not so easy. It's really really hard that you make a video game channel, or at least a video game music related channel with video game music, video game content, jokes about video games, and I still have made some important, well, let's say hit, if I can say, for as for a Venezuelan, as an average Venezuelan, I think it's a lot. I mean, it's like what that does exist. It it's something that wow, I do not, I didn't do all. I mean, there is a supernatural force helping me, and well, I'm continuing it because I I want to help other people. I mean, that's like my one of my life purposes to help people with what I do. Very simple. It's like, it's very, it's kind of an instinctive thing, and you do it. I mean, it's something you do for because you love it, really. I mean, something you and the the gratification is not the money only. I mean, it's important, but you get many other good things like people being happy, children being happier, other people like who knows, couples listening to your music and having a good time. And wow, that's really meaningful. Really meaningful. That makes me create more content. Like I want to put on YouTube, on TikTok, on other places. I'm trying to be as quality as possible. I think I have failed a little bit with the quality of some videos, but I will still keep my quality as much as possible. But yes, I will continue, a lot because, well, it's one of the life missions I have for sure.
What I want to say is, it's interesting that you said that
Mm.
retro lovers in Venezuela are still following their hobbies despite the difficulties, and are still using you said the internet like eBay to get their stuff. But that's not
Yeah,
so easy. I mean, look
no,
at
sorry.
how expensive retro stuff became on eBay. It's even
Yeah.
expensive for me.
Well, yes, it's very hard for many people to get video games because of the government topic I told you.
Mm.
Also, it's hard because of people they don't know how to get times the video games for by using FedEx like companies or anything like that. I mean, becoming a collectionist, a hobbyist of the world of video games is really is hard, super hard. It's like the hard level in real life, and you have to be a lover of the video game scene to continue doing it. And I still do it because even though there is coronavirus, there is lots of things here in Venezuela ongoing. There are, well, around the world, not only Venezuela, there are problems in different situations around the world. But still, we want to help somehow. Still, we want to do something. We are not going to be completely, darkened in that sense.
You must be really good in that. I mean, I saw your room tour video on YouTube, and I was like,
Ah,
hey man, he has an SNES Mini. That was
yes, I do.
really hard to get here in Germany too.
Really. Wow, it's incredible. Yeah, we have, but it's a Chinese version. Still, it's a good one. It's a mini NES. Yes, I do have my mini NES, a Wii. I do have GameCube controllers. I own a Yoshi Historic that I bought yesterday. It's amazing to still do those things, and not everybody understands that. I mean, people think that you are wasting money or something like that.
Oh,
But
I'm being told that all the time.
Right.
I mean,
there,
last week Wednesday, my CRT TV burned. Literally, there was smoke coming out of it. So,
wow,
so the next day, I was going on the yellow pages trying to find a TV repair store. So I
right.
called the number, and the front desk woman was like, "A TV from '95? Is that one of those with those big tubes?" And she was
Ah,
laughing at me,
Hang on, I
having
got a
the
better
best
question than
time.
that. You
okay,
still have the yellow pages?
okay.
Yeah, online.
Oh, online. I was gonna say like, yeah, like the
Yeah,
book they
online,
drop off. Yeah, because I was gonna
online,
say I
online,
thought they
online.
stopped doing that a long time
Right.
ago.
No,
Uh,
online, online. The
yeah.
yellow pages in Germany have an app and they have a homepage, and luckily, I found one store that would still repair CRT TVs. You
Yeah.
know, and it was like, yeah, we don't have spare parts. I will probably have to buy it from eBay. That could take a while. And actually, this morning they picked up my TV, and in the afternoon they called me and like, hey, it's a quick fix. It's just a net filter burned. We have the spare part on stock. We
Right.
will repair it and deliver it to you on Friday. So,
Yeah.
but but actually, the work of finding a store that takes you serious as a customer with a
Mm.
25 years old TV, that is a task of itself.
Yeah, it's a task.
Because most stores in Germany are like, CRT TV? Are you kidding me? Are you serious?
Well, I have never been there, but I understand that it's not just anything, something particular.
Yeah. So I can totally relate when you say people tell you you should stop putting money into buying retro tech. I hear that all the time. And 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 the thing is, every time I'm somewhere as a customer, people remember me.
The
They are
thing
like,
is, though, too, people talk about retro tech, and it's like,
Yeah,
oh, it's this old crappy stuff that can't do anything good, and it's like, no,
right.
for a lot of us, we use it. It's a tool. It's a tool that we use for something. We're
Yeah. Well,
making graphics. Doesn't matter how, like you're not going to get the same. If you have an antique set of I'm trying to
yeah,
think of some other artwork inspired like an antique set of colored pencils or something. People aren't going
right.
to be like, throw that out and get yourself some Sharpies, because because this is the medium in which you work.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well,
And
people.
I mean, CRT TV still have a use for light guns, and that is what I
Right,
use it for mainly.
right.
Mm,
Yeah.
Actually, use a light gun
Yes, of course, I use a light gun. Yeah.
for what?
I have Duck Hunt, a famous NES
yep.
game. I
Great.
have light guns for my Sega Saturn. I'm having a couple of light gun games that I'm
Oh,
playing
Love
with
those
friends when they are visiting me.
I had no idea.
Yeah,
great games right there. Duck Hunt
yeah.
is one of my favorites. I mean, I played when I was it's one. It came with me when I was 4 years old, and the Super Mario Bros. With Duck Hunt, the Zapper. The feeling was like, whoa, life is amazing, and
Yeah.
yeah,
Very nice
it
put.
was
Very nice put.
right. Like life does have interesting things, and you do see the world of gaming is actually a whole science. You could go to many points for the game developers. That's something I guess is super hard work. I mean, Japanese developers they do spend lots of time developing like 4 years for one single video game. That is it for me. That's like I mean I am a video game musician and I make a song at times in 3 minutes. So I feel like my work at times is easy in contrast to the developers, but I admire them. I mean, it's like, what? How can you do it? It's incredible.
Yeah.
Mm. Um, I think anything creative is incredible because I'm not a creative person. I'm more better in organizing things than being creative.
Or
Um, but think um, I think it's a good point to say that it's also important to have joy and entertainment even in
Mhm.
difficult situations where we have the pandemic, and on top in Venezuela you have your governmental issues. That's like extreme, you know.
It's
So it's always good to have something like a hobby that you can go back to, and as I said, you are lucky to have a good enough internet, and you can do
mhm.
YouTube.
Yeah,
So that's
very long.
perfect. I wonder, um, can you tell us a bit? Um, did you get any feedback from other Venezuelans, or
Mhm.
is there
Yeah.
a cycle you are part of? Are you basically on your own, or are you part of a Venezuelan community
Oh
for
yeah,
retro? Or tell us a bit
yeah,
about
yeah.
that. I would like to know about the community side of
All right,
Venezuelan retro.
I will tell you. The community part is very expanded. There are in Venezuela there is a state called Maracaibo, and in Maracaibo there are lots of fans of. It's like the super place for video games here in Venezuela. Is like is located to the eastern part of Venezuela. It's like limiting with Colombia, and there are lots of competitive gaming there. They love Super Smash Bros. Kind of tournaments. They do love the communities about almost every game. I mean, there are people for every kind of games. There is nothing missing. Like there are people for both commercial games and underground games, and you will see people liking games of different kinds. Zelda, The Legend of Zelda does have a super big community here in Venezuela. Like it's one of the strongest ones. And Super Mario, like Super Mario and Zelda, they are the main two communities here, yeah, as for video games in Venezuela, and the whole uh, all the states. I mean, even in places like Amazonas, you would say that there are gamers, and Amazonas is a state where there are many people who are indigenous, like they live on yurts, stuff like that. They don't normally know about video games, but there are people like that who like video games here. So that's very interesting to notice because, well, it's like not so expected, I guess. And well, yeah,
So I wonder, are there any homepages you can give us or pictures about those events and
yeah,
places?
home pages. I will send you some home pages if you want through the chat, so you can see um, Venezuelan sites of that sort.
That
We've
would
got
be awesome. I would be
Yeah.
interested to learn more about it.
Yeah, the Osecon is the most famous one. Osecon, I will send you a link. I'm googling it at this moment, so you can see.
Um,
And
yeah.
there are also, well, if you want to, there are many people that will enjoy gaming in different consoles like PlayStation. Also, there is a community for that. There is a community for uh, other, even for Game Boy Colors, Game Boy Advance Colors. Mega Man does have its own community. There are communities especially for top games and underground games. Like, well, it depends on the game. I will
Interesting.
send you something right here.
That
The-
that would that would be great. That would be great.
Mhm.
Um, so you said there is this state in Venezuela that is a mecca for
Exactly.
retro. Yeah.
Yeah, the Zulia State with C, Zulia.
Okay.
Is a Mecca. It's a Mecca, and is together with Caracas, which is the capital city of the country. So, well, you would say that those are the main ones. There are other states too, but they are the top two.
Okay. That's totally interesting. I'm
Mhm.
I'm so happy that today we learn about how the retro community is in Venezuela. Just recently we had an interview about the Russian part of the retro gaming and computing scene, and as AJ said once, I think AJ can repeat you to say, it's
No, but
interesting that despite there is internet nowadays, it's still everything is still pretty separated in certain parts of the world.
yeah,
Yeah, somehow we are making it.
And
So
I never really understood why it is so separated. Why there's so little known about it.
yeah, it's a, well, Venezuela itself is a like a far-fetched topic. I think in many other in developed countries, not everyone knows what Venezuela is living. I have informed I have made the research myself, so that this is why I know. But Lisa is not everyone will do that kind of research in Venezuela. They will not always know what is ongoing out of Venezuela from the point of view of people in Europe. You get like
right, right.
it's very. What I did is not something common, but it's something
Yeah.
important.
Yeah, you know the I mean I have seen on YouTube any English video about the country Venezuela I could find. any series I could find, even if they were Spanish with English subtitles. I watched it all. And the reason for that is when the FedEx parcel arrived here, and I picked it up from the German FedEx.
Yeah.
There was a piece of paper in it, and it was a declaration of the seller with fingerprint and copy of his passport, confirming that none of the items in the parcels are drugs related or weapons or something.
Okay.
And that's so mind blowing, because here in Germany, if I mean, imagine what you could do when you have somebody's fingerprints or passport copy. You could do all sorts of crime. So why would the government require you to put it in a parcel?
No, it's like it's terrible. But yeah, I mean, there are many people that go illegal with games, with emulators, like stuff. That's a very important topic, by the way. The emulators thing. I actually stopped using them. I admit I use it a lot of them, but I don't do it because I feel myself plagiarism with my music. If I do that, it's like, why would I do it? I don't use emulators. Incredibly enough, it's like a very odd situation. I
Really
prefer
strange
to buy,
situation. Really
but I
strange
prefer.
situation. I mean, I've never heard about a government caring if you use emulator or not. Over here, nobody cares if you use an
No, nobody
emulator or
cares.
not.
I mean, most people don't. I mean, I read the laws about emulators, and they say that it's legal to have an emulator, but the ROMs are illegal to download. So you can't do it. And there is even a Nintendo law that prohibits during like 72 years the usage of certain games like underground games. Who knows? RoboCop versus Terminator for the NES. That game is very, I mean, it's forgotten, but there is a love for that game and for those games. So actually, I read it because I felt myself very much like a pirate. I would stop it because it was better for my own consciousness, and I prefer to buy them at least one after the other, and that's it's more. I feel better,
Hmm.
really. Like I
Okay.
don't feel myself like using piracy, stuff like that.
Okay.
It's like music. I doing plagiarism to my music. I would feel very bad.
Mm. Yeah, well, I cannot relate to that. I never had the situation where I had to worry about my games being stolen out of a parcel by a government, or using an emulator and somebody from the government is caring
Yeah.
about that. I never had this situation.
Hmm.
And I'm surprised that that this is even a thing, because I mean,
Right.
what commercial market value is there that a government is having from that? But anyway, it's a strange situation, but I'm very happy to hear that you are still holding up to it despite all the difficulties.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I
I
see you
that there are
just
many.
posted some links. Thanks for that.
Yeah, there are some links there. You can do the search in Spanish, and you will see many. I mean, it's not understandable, but you will understand the some things at the end of the day about the
I
gaming world. You
I
can
did
try
Spanish in school.
typing Venezuela videojuegos, and that's it.
Hmm.
Video games. You say
Hey, can you
videojuegos.
repeat, AJ, what you just said? I didn't get.
I said I took a
Yeah,
year of Spanish in high school. I
I
can
will
understand.
type.
I can
I
say
will
things
type
like
this
"Me llamo AJ."
like this videojuegos.
I can say
Like
"Cómo estás?" That's about it.
it's a Venezuelan word for video game.
Yeah.
A Spanish word actually.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah. It's similar to the Portuguese word for video games.
It's
Yeah,
very similar, yeah.
yeah,
Very
yeah.
similar. I study languages, therefore that's why I have been knowing those things. I
Ye-
study languages as well.
Ah, nice. Yeah, yeah. You told me you are a translator.
And
one.
translate. Yeah, that's my Skype um, stuff. And I love Japanese games because I like video games in general, but Japanese games are like one of my favorites because you can learn the language. You can learn with JRPG games. You can go and get deeper, understand the communities behind them. You can understand the world behind the computer game and the Nintendo games, any kind of game. At the end of the day, you will see there is a lot of work and a lot of history behind it.
But
And
now you don't tell me that you learned Japanese.
yeah, I study Japanese, but I have like 6 years studying Japanese.
Wow. Oh my God.
日本語のことは今話してます。そしてそのことはとてもいいですよね。それはありがとうございます。
Oh my
That's my
God.
Japanese.
There are so many people here in Germany that would envy you for knowing Japanese.
Yeah, that would be very interesting. ありがとうございます。それが本当に好きですよ。I really like it.
Actually, interesting that you mentioned. I think some weeks ago, AJ, you mentioned that there's little known about what's going on in Japan, right?
Yeah, the Japanese scene.
Japanese.
The Japanese is NTSC. There was a C64 released there. In fact, they had a special, kanji character set and everything built into,
Right.
a custom ROM and all that. But
Okay.
there is no, to my knowledge, there is no like demo scene or retro game. Well, there is a bit of a retro game scene in Japan, but like there's no demo scene or anything like that where it persevered through the years like it did in Europe and the US.
Okay. Well, in the US, there are many things that are super amazing for a Venezuelan. If you put a Venezuelan person in an average community in the USA, they will explode of happiness, something like that, because it's very different, you know. I mean, it's very wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's
But
incredible.
you don't have by chance any connection to the Japanese community, or do you?
Well, I have a little connection, I would say. I mean, in my case, I do post my content, and sometimes Japanese people uh, comment about it,
Oh,
but it's because I talk to them about it. I mean, I do my personal marketing by very organically. I spend time on. I have spent lots of hours marketing my content, and that's why I have seeing different parts of the world through the internet. I went to the United States only once when I was like 23 years old, but I saw many things, so I saw the world differently from Venezuelan average people who have not traveled even once in their lives. So you
wow.
can imagine.
So what else can you tell us about Venezuela and the
Well,
situation about retro gaming and stuff?
there are many people who cry about it. I mean, there are many people who are sad, literally, like they are in a sad state of existence, I guess, because they don't have what they could in a normal developed country. There are many YouTube videos about it, so you can Google them. There are many options in English, but the main ones are in Spanish. I will put one of them here in the chat when I can, because so you can get even more content about Venezuelan gaming scene, but there are many people who are sad about it. Like they don't really like that. They are mad about the government being so terrible with the gaming world. They don't pay any attention. I mean, it's like they don't feel like they exist. You know, it's in a certain sense, it's like denigrating for that part of the population.
Which is strange because the video game business is one of the largest businesses.
Yeah. The business, the video game is like that.
It doesn't make sense. Yeah, it's strange. It's strange.
It's strange.
But as you said about English, well, when I spoke to Venezuelans, I had the impression that a lot of them are pretty fluent in English.
Yeah, there are many. There are.
Yeah. It was easier to talk to people from Venezuela in English than to people from Mexico.
Ah, yeah. There are
Um,
people from Mexico who, well, yeah, there are many similarities from Venezuela to Mexico. There are many similarities. Really, there are. It's like the most similar, the country that is most similar to Venezuela. And well, there are the only difference is that they are developed. We are not. In contrast, if you can
but
say.
you said before the interview in when we chatted a little in our text window, you said that the government actually shut down game development
Mhm.
companies and studios.
Ah, yeah, there are some studios about for in Venezuela. There is a little community. I would say it's very small, but it does exist. So we can say that there is a game developer community that develops games in Venezuela. I don't really know the names. I haven't searched that much in that sense, but there is. And it they do love video games, of course. They do have influences on Nintendo video games mainly, and Android games for iPhone and everything like cell phones. They do develop that in order to earn money as well and to make ends meet.
Nice, nice. Well, I learned a lot today so far. Um,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I,
right.
I'm I can only repeat I'm a bit sad about the situation and
Mhm.
how difficult it is to uphold the hobby and the video game industry and all that stuff. Um,
Okay.
I,
Makes you
I
fine
hope I
today.
hope the situation improves in a way.
Yeah, I hope as well. Thank you. You are yeah, you are supporting me a lot with this interview. I mean, I feel like somebody is listening out there. Like if this was how do you say that, an island, isolated island, and somebody actually saw the bottle with the message,
Mhm.
so it's a good sign. Well, I would like to talk about maybe the video game music because it's my specialty.
Yes,
Video game
absolutely.
music
Sure.
is like the one is the part is my main thing. I love video games, but the music part is like wow, is
That's
something I love. I was born that day, and
Bird
really I
shares that with you. That's all Jurg listens to is video game
think
music.
actually
Yes, I
it
listen to VGM all the time. He's right. Yeah.
me you can see my music on Bandcamp, SoundCloud, and places. I will put it there in Google Tunes when I can because I require a credit card and I don't have it. But well, I am doing my work step by step. But I do love the video game music. For example, my favorite soundtracks come from Legend of Zelda, Gerudo Valley, Super Mario Brothers theme, different games like Mega Man 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, etc. All of them.
Mega Man
And
2 has some kicking music, I
it's,
will say.
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
incredible. It's one of the most, well, I think it's the most recognizable because it is even in the Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. I
Right.
do, yesterday I bought Super Smash Bros. Melee and now I played with a friend here in Venezuela who he likes games as well and we get good time even though the situation is so terrible we play melee you know and
Right.
with a broken controller. It's kind of incredible but we still do
Yeah.
it. I mean it's
Yeah.
like we well, coming back to the music part, well, I like underground music in video games. I like games like Terranigma. I don't know if you know that one. Super NES is very underground. Terranigma. and there is others like Robocop versus the Terminator, which I love. The soundtrack is very very far-fetched, but I like it. And they use the triangle. When you use an emulator, you can see the difference in the music. You can say, for example, the square, the triangle, and the noise. They are the main sounds of a video game font.
Right.
I don't know if you have seen that before. That's
Yeah.
it's from the time I used emulator, so I am saying it. But yeah, it's an information that is useful to say, I guess.
Hmm.
So and I like creating songs with my guitar, creating songs with my keyboard. I use the keyboard as a way to create video game music, and FL Studio, which is a very famous program for creating music around the world. I have the demo version, but it works anyway. And
Okay.
yeah, I work with the tools we have. We continue working. We can summarize it like that.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, we'll put links to all the things, all your sites, your Bandcamp and SoundCloud and all that stuff. We will put that in the podcast description so people can check that out.
Thank you, thank you. I would love that you put that in your content. It would be really a good. I would appreciate it, humanly speaking.
Most definitely.
Ah,
It's amazing. Thanks for sitting with us.
don't worry. You are welcome.
Great.
Ah,
Wow. So thanks for putting up with us
Yes. Yes.
and getting your Skype working and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
don't worry. I am glad that you contacted me because I feel like, I mean, I have always seen the YouTube videos of people gaming and doing retro stuff, but in other countries, and I have always wanted to be part of it. At least I do it virtually now. Thank you very much, and
Okay.
see you later.
Yes.
See you
Thank you.
later. Bye bye.
See you.